You know the story, when you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk? Well, it turns out when you announce to your friends, family, and the world that you will be hiking 2,650 miles from Mexico to Canada on the Pacific Crest Trail, they're going to have questions. So while I am out on a 13-mile training hike on this absolutely gorgeous day, I am going to be answering some of the most frequently asked questions I've received about my upcoming thru hike of the Pacific Crest Trail. Let's go. Yes, I am hiking alone. For those of you who don't know, I've been married for 5 years to the most incredible man. I am also the proud dog mom to Coco. And while my husband is just incredibly, amazingly supportive of my thru hike, he has his own career. And while he loves to join me on my adventures and travels, he has, frankly, no interest spending 5 months walking and sleeping in the woods. The hope is that he will be able to come out and visit me on 1 or 2 of my 0 days throughout the hike, but otherwise he will be managing the homestead here in DC and taking care of our dog. Of course, the term alone has really different meaning than you might think on these long distance hiking trails like the Appalachian Trail and like the Pacific Crest Trail. I did a 50-mile section hike of the PCT starting at the border in Campo 2 years ago. I started alone. I showed up at the trailhead completely by myself, and I don't think I made it 4 or 5 hours before making a group of friends who I camped with for the rest of that trip. Those amazing women were all thru hikers themselves. They all went on to successfully complete their thru hikes, and it really inspired me to one day want to come back and do it for myself. I am a naturally pretty introverted person, but one of the things I really love about backpacking is that it brings out this completely different side of me, I don't know, extroverted, social side of me, and getting to spend 5 or 6 months exploring who that person is and getting to take part in the really social aspects of the trail is one of the things I am most looking forward to. I'm also looking forward for an opportunity to really learn how to be alone. I think that is a lost art by and large in our modern society. And even someone who is as introverted as I am, I have never camped completely by myself. I've gone on backpacking trips by myself, but I've always stayed in campgrounds in areas where I could see other hikers and other tents around me. So getting more comfortable being alone under those circumstances, maybe even camping alone, who knows, is something that I'm really looking forward to on this trip, and I think will be a huge area of growth for me. It seems like when I tell people in person about doing the PCT, for some reason, that is always one of their first responses. And of course, the answer is, yeah, I'm scared. I'm terrified. I have anxiety. I'm scared all the time. I guarantee you that there is not one possible scenario of things that could happen to me on this hike that has not absolutely crossed my mind and that I have not sat and catastrophized over. But as I've gotten older, as I've gotten into my mid-30s, I've kind of come to a place of deciding that being afraid to do something, if it's something I really want to do, that being afraid to do it, it's just not a good excuse. I am afraid of wildfires. I am afraid of all of the unknown variables that I just cannot plan for. I'm afraid of being not up to the task, physically and especially emotionally. But I know that the regret I would feel if I didn't do this is so much bigger than the fear I feel from doing it. I think we all know deep in our hearts that the biggest growth in our lives comes on the other side of doing the scary thing, whatever that looks like for you. And so mixed in with all that fear is the excitement and curiosity I have about just what exactly this adventure is going to be like and what kind of person I'm going to turn into on the other side. There's also a litany of things that I'm not particularly scared of per se, but that I have a healthy respect for. Things like wildlife being a big one. There are no grizzly bears yet in the Cascades. There are some black bears, some mountain lions, and I think technically some wolves along the trail. But I think as long as you use common sense and adhere to food storage rules as required along the trail, your odds of having an encounter with wildlife of any kind are unfortunately pretty slim on the PCT, and the odds of that encounter being a negative or predatory one are very slim. If you want to know how I'm feeling about bears and lions, I have a healthy respect for them, but it's not something I'm actively concerned about. And thankfully, the stats on the virtually non-existent number of animal attacks for PCT thru hikers really support me in that. Most people I've found are surprised when they find out that it takes the average thru hiker 5 to 6 months to hike the PCT. I'll be covering hopefully a distance of 2,650 miles on trail, plus I'm sure many hundreds of miles off the PCT, doing things like getting in and out of towns in order to resupply, as well as doing fun side quests to things like Mount Whitney or Yosemite Valley. According to the most recent Halfway Anywhere hiker surveys, most PCT hikers average about 19 miles a day over the entire course of the trail. And that number includes your 0 days, which are your no mile days, things like taking a day off in town. So when you math all that math together, I hope to be finishing the PCT around 22 to 23 weeks from when I start. Speaking of when I start, a lot of people have asked about my specific start date, but if you're watching this video, you know that I am publicly broadcasting my hike to the world. It's something I've been doing on my social medias for quite some time, and one of the things I always recommend that solo hikers, particularly solo female hikers, do is to never share your actual location in real time. So for that reason, I am not sharing my actual start date. It will be sometime around April. If you are a trail angel or you are someone that is also hiking the PCT this year and you want to connect, you can send me an email or DM me on my social. I would love to chat. How much does your pack weigh? What is in your pack? I just put up a video that is doing so well about how I went about choosing my Durston Kakwa 55 pack for the PCT. If you haven't already, go check that out. I still have a few final small items that I am getting in line to complete my PCT gear setup. So once I have all of my ducks in a row, I will be sharing a complete gear shakedown video here on YouTube. And it looks like, according to my spreadsheet, my base weight should be coming in at around 13 to 14 pounds. That includes some additional equipment like this tripod that I'm holding right now, like an extra battery bank, and like a portable SD drive that I will be carrying basically just because I will be vlogging my hike. Well, I mentioned earlier that today we are on a training hike on this, guys, I'm wearing shorts. It's February and I am wearing shorts. So when it comes to training, there's obviously a ton of schools of thought. Some people say, oh, if you don't train for hours a day, every day, you won't even make it past Lake Morena. And other people like to show up in the comment section and say, oh, training's a waste of time. Just show up at the trail and you'll be great. And for me, my training plan lies somewhere in between. I am trying to incorporate a variety of training methods. I'm spending time 1 to 2 days a week at the gym doing heavy weights and strength training. I'm doing weighted pack hikes, as you can tell, 1 to 2 days a week on my local trails here in the DC area. I've been steadily increasing my miles on these trails by 1 mile every week. So today is a 13-mile training hike. And every month I've been gradually increasing the weight in my pack. So today is the first day we are carrying an 18-pound pack here. In addition, as all dog parents know, when my dog exercises, I exercise. So in total, I'm averaging around 50 miles of walking per week, 1 to 2 days a week at the gym, and I am starting to incorporate some shorter runs in order to get that cardio in on days when I'm not able to make it to the gym or out on the trails. How the hell do I avoid getting lost? Luckily, the Pacific Crest Trail is one of the most well-signed trails in the United States. There are very few areas where any sort of navigation is technically necessary. For the vast majority of the trail, I will be using an app called Far Out, formerly known as Gut Hook. This is the app used by pretty much everyone on these long distance trails. I've used it many times. It's a fantastic app, and you can download it for offline use. It includes tons of helpful information crowdsourced from other hikers on the trail, things like water reports, places to go in town, places to avoid in town, trail conditions. I've used it on basically all of my backpacking trips to date, and I've really loved it. Unfortunately, thanks to climate change, the PCT has suffered a number of natural disasters over the past couple of years. For example, the Mission Creek area, thanks to Hurricane Hillary, the trail has been pretty wiped out and will require some off-route navigation. And of course, the ever-present threat of wildfires, which may require you to quickly reroute and get off trail. For those reasons, I'm looking into having a backup set of maps downloaded and available to my phone, something like CalTopo or maybe Gaia. If any former PCT hikers are watching this and you have any suggestions for things that worked for you, especially when having to reroute for fire closures and through Mission Creek, please drop me a note in the comments or send me a DM on my socials, because I would love to know what has worked for you. Well, those are all of the questions I have for you guys today. I have 5 miles left in today's hike. We've done 8 miles so far. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and maybe we'll do another one. As always, make sure to subscribe if you aren't already to follow my PCT journey. If you are planning your own adventure this summer, I also have plenty of videos to help you plan your trip to some of my favorite national parks, places like Yosemite and Big Bend. So go ahead and check those out, and I will see you next week. Bye.